Go ahead, lean in, take a whiff. This is some Peanutty chocolate banana bread. It's a classic Pampered Chef recipe. We're gonna make a batch together and then we're gonna dig into this. Super good. If you love banana bread and you love chocolate and peanut butter, you're going to love this. So first thing we're gonna do is talk about our dry ingredients. These are pretty straightforward. I will post the recipe. I am using gluten-free flour today for this one. I like the King Arthur, and most quick breads I can just substitute cup for cup. If you prefer all-purpose, you can totally do that. That's what the recipe actually calls for. There's some sugar and baking powder and salt in here. It calls for a cup of sugar. I back off. I go about 3/4 of a cup. I like it a little bit less sweet. So these are all mixed up. Let's get the wet ingredients mixed up. Now for bananas, here's what I like to do. I freeze my bananas in the peel. So this is a frozen one. When I stuck them in here, they were sort of speckled, not necessarily ripe, but they certainly weren't brown like this. They get dark when they freeze. So when I'm ready to make banana bread, I just pull out a couple of bananas, either let them sit on the counter and thaw, or in this case, I popped them into the microwave for about a minute, just until they're soft. So the easiest way to open these up is just kind of break the end here. Just open it up a little bit and they will slip right out. If you just gently squeeze from the top, they just fall right out. And I like freezing them in the peel because it kind of protects them from getting freezer burned. Not that I'm leaving them in there for that long anyway, but it's just an easy way. If you prefer to peel them or chunk them up, you can. I chunk bananas to freeze for smoothies, but for banana bread, I usually just do it like this. And after they've been frozen, they're really soft, so it's easy to just mash them up. I'm using my mix and chop to do that. Just mash them. You want to use ripe bananas when you're making banana bread because they provide the sweetness. So bananas that are not ripe are not good for banana bread. All right, just mash them up like that. We're gonna add some milk. You can use almond milk if you prefer. We're adding an egg and some oil and peanut butter. So this is the petite measure-all cup and this is the mini measure-all cup. And then there's a 2 cup that's even bigger. I love it for peanut butter because you can just plunge it out. So in this case, I used the top for measuring sticky. And in this one, I have it flipped and I'm using this side. You see there's a spout here for measuring liquid. So when you're using it for liquid, you don't move the cup at all. Okay, so just mix those up. And if you want, you really could just mix it all together right with the flour mixture, but I like to give it a little stir here. Break up the egg a little bit and then we'll add it in. Okay, now the best way to stir up your quick breads is with a scraper, not a whisk, because it's really kind of thick. So I like to use the whisk to just mix up the dry ingredients so that everything's combined before. And you do want to mix up your dry ingredients before you add your wet, because when you're doing quick breads, you don't want to overmix it. So if you do that, it impacts the texture of your end result. So we want to make sure that we're stirring it only until the liquid ingredients are combined and not for any longer than that. So you're not going to beat it. It's not like you're making cake. Quick breads are different in that way. All right, so you're going to fold the wet ingredients and the dry ingredients. I've noticed that this particular banana bread recipe is very thick, so expect that when you're making it. You're going to be tempted to add more liquid to it, but just trust it. If you followed the measurements, and it did call for about a cup of banana, you have enough. So just stir it until it does come together. Now there could be variation on the batter if you pack your flour. So make sure you use the spoon method when you are measuring your flour. All right, I've got a little bit of flour in the bottom here. Now when it's just about mixed up, go ahead and add your chocolate chips. You want to add the milk chocolate chips for this particular recipe. And I usually use semi-sweet. For some reason, and I don't know, hey Gracie, no crying. For some reason, I've noticed the milk chocolate chips actually they bake differently. They don't, they hold their shape better over the top. Okay, so this is ready. Now let's get our stone ready. I showed you the loaf pan, which is what I baked the first one in. This one I'm gonna bake in the mini baker. And this is half the size of our deep covered baker, so it does come with a lid, but it's the same size as a loaf pan. So I love to use it for that. And although this step is not necessary, I like to do it. So just grab a narrow piece of parchment. And here's why I love to use parchment paper, especially for this recipe. I'm gonna be sprinkling chocolate chips over the top. And if I have to struggle getting that bread out, I'm gonna mash it and get my fingers all gooey. So put a little piece in here, it'll be really easy to lift out. All right, so let's put that batter in there. And this will feel so much, this is a lot thicker than the one that I make with my Betty Crocker banana bread recipe. But I tell you what, this is amazing. It's so delicious. It's from an old cookbook we carried years ago. I've been at this 25 years. Called Stoneware Sensation. So if any of you are diehard Pampered Chef fans and you've got that cookbook, you could pull it from there, but it's also on my website. When you search for banana bread, you'll find it. Okay, so we've got the batter all spread around. Now I reserved a few chocolate chips to sprinkle over the top because it just kind of looks nice. And who doesn't love a little extra? So there we go. All right, we're gonna finish it off with some peanuts. So you're gonna take your food chopper, just add 1/3 cup, and these are actually honey roasted because my options today were I either had honey roasted or unsalted. And I thought the unsalted ones probably won't taste great. So we're gonna do this, okay? Just a few chops. You want it to be coarse. Twist off the top and then just sprinkle them in all over your bread. These are gonna get toasty and wonderful. Use it all. If you used 1/3 cup, and then I like to just gently push those peanuts in there so they really get into the batter, okay? So there we go. We're gonna pop it in for 1 hour. And so timer here. Okay, so this one is ready to pull out. You wanna have a slice with me? It's so good. I know my husband is waiting. He's like, okay, go do your demo so I can have a piece. So here's what I like to do. Take your, just a butter knife, and if you're new to baking with stoneware, just notice how it crowns perfectly. Stones bake wonderfully, and when you're baking with the loaf pan, and pretty much all of them, bake on the bottom rack and they will release perfectly. If you cook in the middle, if you bake in the center of your oven, your top may brown ahead of time and you think, oh, it cooked faster, and the bottom's not quite done. So always bake on the bottom rack. So I'm just gonna loosen it from the sides. And I do have parchment paper on this one as well. And let's see, I think I can pull it out right here. I want you to see how gorgeous this is. Okay, there we go. Stone's just a little bit warm still, but then you can take the paper off, just slide it off, just like that. Perfect, right? So you can let it cool if you want to. We can never wait. So I'm gonna grab a knife. We love it. No, I should have this on a cutting board, but I'm just gonna be careful. You know, the cooling rack is not a cutting board. But there we go. See, I should have let it cool a little bit. It wouldn't crumble so much, but man, I can't hardly wait. Look at that. Just a very delicate peanut butter flavor. I'll post the recipe in the comments. If you love the recipes that I share, most of them are from my website. So just go to pamperedchef.biz, B-I-Z/Julie Gizzi, and click on my recipes. Type in a keyword and you'll get all sorts of great recipes that are proven, easy to make, and will taste great for your families. I hope you'll enjoy some, and it freezes wonderfully too. So when it's completely cold, I'll slice it into slabs and freeze it individually so we have quick snacks during the morning break. Take care, everybody.